we are, number 103, the SongBike Guitar Q&A live stream. Hey, everybody. Happy Saturday. Hope you're having a great weekend so far. I see a lot of familiar names in the chat. I'm going to say some hellos in a minute. Let me tell you what we're doing today. We're going to have some fun for sure. I'm here for your questions. You got a guitar, you got a question, you're in the right place. When and if you have a question, put it in the chat with a whole bunch of question marks in advance, so I know your question is aimed at me in between your questions. What are we going to talk about? I was hoping you'd ask. A lot of things going on today. We have a poll question up and running about strum patterns. Everybody wants to know strum patterns. The more strum patterns you know, the more fun you're going to have as a guitar player. How many strum patterns do you know? That's the poll question of the night. So jump on that. We're going to talk about everything from sonification. I can't wait to talk to you about my new favorite word, sonification. We're going to talk about the most influential guitar of all time. Not the guitarist, although he's the one who played the guitar. The most influential guitar of all time, and pretty darn influential player. The person I'm talking about just might surprise you. Not household name. We have a student quote of the week. We have a regular segment called Should I Sell Out? We have my own dumb question of the week. We have our play along song of the week. I want to talk to you about my performance anxiety. There's exactly one time I get nervous, and I'm going to share that time with you. You might find it kind of funny. What else? Some lessons you'll never forget. I'm going to teach you some lessons you'll never forget. Time permitting, the lessons you'll never forget include when the world hands you GCD, what do? A while back, we did the CFG version. Today is the GCD version. Another lesson you'll never forget, something I call the hardest simple exercise. Hopefully that piques your curiosity. Another lesson you'll never forget, if we have time, a little something I'm calling Arpeggio Pick-O-Rama. Why not? Arpeggio Pick-O-Rama, you'll see. Are you supposed to practice slowly? Maybe, maybe not. We're going to talk about that for a minute today. I want to say hello to Mariah down in Katy, Texas. Mariah is happy to announce to all of us that she has welcomed a new great-grandchild into the world. So could we all give Mariah a big congratulations on her new great-grandchild? Mariah in Katy, Texas. Congratulations, Mariah. Many of us can only imagine how proud you must be to have a great-grandchild. Holy cow. Congratulations from all of us here to you. So those are some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to say a few hellos. I'm starting at the top of the chat. Joseph, numero uno in the chat today. Hello, Joseph. Hello, David, Matt, William. Joseph, number 2. Wingo, Randy, Boobajan, Christian from Denmark, Chaz from Florida, Barry from Ireland, Charlie. Okay, that's who I see so far. A lot of people in the chat, a lot of people viewing. Don't forget to give this live stream a thumbs up. I don't know why. That's what I'm supposed to say. Give the live stream a thumbs up. Thank you for doing that. Hello to my mom. Hello to my wife, my spouse, who will occasionally make her presence felt as Music Fan 1004. She is one of our moderators tonight, and her name is in blue. Static Zigzag is back. Mr. Zig, welcome. Thank you for being here. So let's get into it. Let's have some fun. You will need a capo. If you don't own a capo, if you order one from Amazon right now, you'll probably get it before the end of the live stream, don't you think? Sure. If you do have a capo, grab it and get it handy. Let's jump right into a lesson you'll never forget. Why not, right? How about if we start with that GCD business? Here's the premise. I'm going to talk to you about this as I pull this up. G, C, and D, one of the world's most common chord progressions. You've played a lot of GCDs in your life. You're going to play a lot more GCDs in your life. Doesn't mean you have to play G, C, and D if you know what I'm talking about. Okay. If your screen goes black, do not fret. Give it a minute. I will talk as the screen illuminates with our lesson you'll never forget. Number 1, when the world hands you GCD, what do you do? What are you supposed to do besides just bang out the same old G, C, and D? I will tell you, hey, DAC Poet is in the chat. Hello, DAC Poet. You're welcome to play the same old G, C, and D you always play. Nothing wrong with that. For a variety of reasons, I am here to give you some other options, including you don't want to be the second person in the group banging out the same G, C, and D. You want to be the person who plays something in a complementary fashion, partly for musical reasons, mostly for musical reasons, partly to show off, to say, hey, you can play G, C, and D up and down the neck in other formations, mostly for musical reasons. Okay, so everybody see the screen okay? Always let me know if what is on the screen is not what I'm talking about. Or if you don't see anything on the screen, let me know in the chat. Okay, so the first thing I put there in the top of the page there are the first music in the tab, standard G, C, and D chords, right? The way we all know and love G, C, and D. Let's get right into some alternatives. The second measure, that second box, we see 12, 12, 12, 5, 5, 5, 7, 7, 7. My favorite, the one finger version. Now, a lot of you are not comfortable way up there at the 12th fret because you run out of real estate. I get it. I get it. Those of you playing electric guitar, although those of you hipsters who have a cutaway in your acoustic, 12, 12, 12 is no big deal. Keep in mind, you could fret the 12, 12, 12 with 3 separate individual fingers, although I'm not recommending it, but you could. You could squeeze with your ring finger, and even if your ring finger is not super strong, by putting your index and middle behind it like mine are right there, you get some good leverage. You get a good squeeze. Bottom line is 12, 12, 12 on the second, third, and fourth strings. That's a G chord. Now, whether that is or is not totally comfortable, now you know it exists. The C and the D versions are more user-friendly, 5, 5, 5, and 7, 7, 7. So while someone else is banging out the typical G, C, and D, sometimes referred to as cowboy chords, sometimes referred to as open position chords, you could be doing 12, 5, and 7. One finger, potentially do it all with one finger, 12, 5, and 7s. Before you go any further, here's another thing you should keep in mind. If you're playing with a friend and they're banging out, they're strumming, they've got the G, C, and D, right? You do not have to mimic their strum pattern. You could play, like I said, in a complementary fashion. They might be going down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. And you could simply go da, 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 da. If you feel too lazy just doing strums, you could strum the chord. I'm on the 7, 7, 7 D, but arpeggiate it a little bit. Sounds like I'm doing something, right? Again, you do not have to do their same strum pattern. It can sound too matchy, right? Like a red shirt and red pants, unless you're working hard at the car wash and your job is to wear red shirt and red pants. You don't have to match your shirt and your pants, right? You don't have to. So by the same token, you don't necessarily have to strum the exact same way your neighbor is strumming, especially if they've got it. We're talking about complementing what they're doing. Okay, moving on. The end of line 1. Three little bite-sized chords on the 3 treble strings. That G is very similar to an F chord, but you glide up 2 frets and you only focus on the 3 treble strings. Okay, I really strongly recommend grabbing both of those 3s with one finger. I see people contort their hands and try to use 3 separate fingers. I appreciate the effort, but it's not worth it. Put that effort into finding just the right angle to get those 3 strings ringing with that little partial bar. Anytime your index finger is barring across less than 6 strings, you could call that a partial bar. There's your G, 3, 3, 4. C, 3, 5, 5. It almost, if someone's not listening carefully, it almost sounds the same as that G, but it's different. Don't let that skinny treble string 3rd fret distract you. G, C, and glide your C up 2 frets. And there's your D, 577. By the way, there's a recurring theme here. Whatever you do for C, it's extremely likely that to do the D chord is just the C thing up 2 frets, right? What we call 2 frets, the rest of the world calls a whole step. So you take a C chord, you move it up a whole step, and you get a D chord. 2 frets is the same as a whole step. Okay, so let's take a breath. You see where we're going with this? This page has 2 lines full of chords or power chords, like on line 2, that are substitutions or complements to the regular G, C, and D chords. The bottom line, nice little arpeggio. It's like a little arpeggio approach. I'm looking at the bottom line, that G320, and the C, and the D. Now you might say what the teacher here just did bears no resemblance to a G, C, or D chord. Number one, that's the point. We're trying to break away from having your hand immediately grab the old-fashioned G, C, and D just because someone else is doing it. Number two, actually, the first 3 notes of the last line are directly from a G chord. 6th string, 3rd fret, 5th string, 2nd fret, 4th string open. And you could say the same thing about the next 3 notes, how they're directly from a C chord. I'm just not grabbing the whole C chord. Bottom line is, if someone's strumming the chord, you could take this approach instead. G. And when they switch to C, you go. And when they switch to D, you go. Now, those little groups of 3, you do not have to play them the way I just did. You can mix up the order. You can play them fast or slow. You can do whatever you want with them. But those 3 notes, those little groups of 3 notes, each one of those groups reflects the chord that's named above. G, C, and D. Okay, but what you do with those is up to you. What if the person you're playing with is on a C chord for a long time? You have so much time. So you could you can make a nice little melody in there. You can get creative. Okay, and the very last thing at the very bottom, the last measure, same sound as what I just did. Notice no open strings. And there's another example of moving the C notes up 2 frets for the D notes. Okay. By the way, these little arpeggios I'm doing, if they sound familiar, yeah, you've heard arpeggios, since forever, right? It's just a very cool approach. In fact, everything you're looking at this page, you could do this anytime, even if there's not someone there strumming the regular G, C, and D. And when I say regular, I mean the old-fashioned, right? All of this stuff reflects a valid approach to G, C, and D chords. Okay, what you're looking at there on the page is going to be available very soon on my website as a PDF. So if you want to print out a copy of that, you head over to my website. After tonight's live stream, I will put that. It's not there now, but I'll put it up there after tonight's live stream in the PDF section. It will join the dozens and dozens and dozens of other PDFs. Lots of great stuff there for members of my website, song-bike.com. Okay. Yeah, Joseph Galasso calls it the rock and roll G. Oh, I see. You're talking about the 4-finger G. Sure, that could be the rock and roll G. Wingo is saying this kind of reminds you of Hang On Sloopy, right? Yeah. I always get a kick out of putting something on the screen and talking about it, and I see the chat goes quiet because I know you guys are playing it. Okay. Questions, comments? So many alternatives. My last word on this subject is chords are concepts. We think of chords as these very specific hand grips because we're guitar players and that's how we learned. Nothing wrong with that, but it's limiting. So starting now, if you haven't already, I want you to think of any chord you've ever heard of in your life as a group of notes, as an idea. You know, a G chord is a G note, a B note, and a D note. That's how everyone else thinks of it besides guitar players, right? A trumpet player thinks of a G, a B, and a D. They don't think of a certain hand grip, you know. Thinking of chords as ideas, as concepts is a lot more, is very liberating. You know, then you realize, wait a minute, I can do chords all up and down the neck of the guitar, and I should do them all up and down the neck of the guitar. I'm not limited to always grabbing stuff down here. Even if your skills at the moment, you know, force you to grab G like this because that's all you've ever done and you're not ready to do other stuff, I get it. But when you see people doing stuff up and down the neck, it's extremely likely that they are doing something that you are learning or you have learned down in your comfort zone, and they're just doing a higher version of that same thing. You know, don't let frets 5, 6, 7 through 21. Don't let those frets scare you. Okay, everything you're learning in the first 3, 4 frets, everything you're learning there is transferable up the neck. Sometimes it's really easy to transfer it up the neck. Sometimes you have to, you know, be a little patient with yourself. So there you go. A lesson you'll never forget. Something I call when the world hands you G, C, and D. So speaking of learning stuff, I came across a neat thing on Instagram. There's a very interesting page, very thought-provoking. It's called Wise Musician. It's wise_musician. And it pops up in my feed on a regular basis. And often there's a very experienced musician sharing some perspective. And a couple of days ago, at this point, about 5 days ago, on the Wise Musician Instagram page, there is a gentleman, happened to be an oboe player, who was really, really encouraging all of us to not practice slowly. As soon as possible, whatever the piece is you're working on, to start playing at the right speed. And of course, that shocked me. I thought, what? That's not how it works. We all must practice slowly, right? That's how you get a foundation. So are you supposed to practice slowly or not? I mean, we know whatever the tune is, the goal is to play it up to the right speed, right? But I mean, what's the sense of doing that if you can't play right? What is this guy talking about? It makes no sense, right? So you can imagine I had to stop and listen to what he was talking about and try to square it with what I tell people and what I thought was the right way to go about things. So practicing slowly. Of course, you have to practice slowly. You have to figure out what the thing is, you know, what is that new chord? What is that little riff? You got to practice slowly to figure it out. So where is he coming from? He was making a really great point for performers, for people who are going to stand up in front of an audience and be put on the spot, and they're expected to deliver a very specific song at a very specific speed, potentially with, say, a symphony orchestra or with a band. It could be anything, right? And there's no margin for doing it at any other speed because people paid their money. They want to hear that music at that tempo. So his argument, it was a very interesting argument, was training your brain to make that speed, whatever that speed is, the standard, the default. Make sure your brain is 100% familiar with that speed and really don't settle for anything less. He made an interesting point. He said, almost like a defense mechanism. You're standing in front of Madison Square Garden, right? And people are looking at you and it's time to do your thing. And from his perspective, he said, the human brain kind of retreats a little bit. That's my word. And the human brain says, oh, I don't want to mess this up. I'm gonna play it where it's comfortable. And all of a sudden your brain is at war, right? Because you know what speed is comfortable, but you also know what speed everyone's expecting you to play it at. Well, there's no room for that to be going on in your mind, you know, in the middle of a song, right? It's time for you to do your thing. Your brain has to immediately play the thing at that tempo with no comfort zone, no safety, no little voice saying, oh, if I play it a little slower, I'll nail it. So from his point of view, I thought it made a lot of sense and I get where he was coming from. For the rest of us, holy cow, you got to practice slowly. That's the whole, you know, That's, in fact, you get a gold star if you practice things slowly and accurately and get the muscle memory kicking in and doing it over and over again. But I loved how what he said was very provocative and made me think and made me want to stop and listen to what he's talking about. He's an experienced musician, you know. So I want to share that with you. Practicing slowly. Are you supposed to practice slowly? In the description of this live stream, I'll put a link to that Instagram post, that specific one from wise_musician, so you can hear him talk about it, because very interesting. Those of you who are not on Instagram, I don't know if you can watch an Instagram post, if you can look at it without being on Instagram. I think you probably cannot. I'll put it in the description of this live stream, no matter what. So Chaz says, what speed should be our goal, right? I know, it's a fair question. How fast are you supposed to play? Accuracy, good clear sounds, no aches or pains, no stress. Those are the priorities. Play the right notes with the right fingers, with a relaxed mind and body, right? That's how it starts. Then you can start ramping things up as fast as you want to go, right? When it's something like a scale or an exercise, the sky's the limit. You can play it week after week and go faster and faster and faster. DAC Poet is pointing out some music has the actual tempo written as a very specific number. You'll see a little note, quarter note equals 120. You can get a metronome app on from whatever source you get your apps from, a lot of free metronome apps there, and you can set it to whatever the number happens to be at the top of the page, 120 or whatever. But going back to scales, arpeggios, that kind of abstract stuff that's not a specific song, you can go as fast as you want, right? In general, I tell my students, there's no sense in playing a song faster than it actually goes, unless you kind of want to over-prepare yourself and feel so comfortable going 80 miles an hour that when it's showtime and you got to go 60 miles an hour, you're over-prepared. I get that. But just in general, I recommend listening to whatever you're shooting for, whatever the song happens to be. Practice it, listen, practice, go back and forth for lots of reasons, including a reminder of what the actual goal is, the ultimate goal. But in terms of, practicing, say, a major scale, you could set a metronome as slow as you want, 60 beats per minute, 1 per second, nice round number, right? Can you play every note of the scale at 60, with a relaxed body and mind, using the tip of your finger, using the correct finger, being proud of the tone of each one of those notes, no buzzing, right? It's humbling. It's humbling to play something at a slow speed. Can you do it and actually stay with the metronome? That can be tricky. Some people, they have this magic power of tuning out the metronome. This loud thing is clicking right in your ear, and plenty of people are able to ignore that completely. Hey, Paul is in the chat. Hey, Paul. So Chaz, when you say 80 beats per minute, what are you doing at 80 beats per minute? That's you might have mentioned it earlier in the chat. I didn't see, but let us know, because you can set a metronome obviously to any beats per minute, and what you do, the setting for a certain exercise might be different than a setting for a certain chord change thing. Maybe you're working on changing chords. Maybe there's 2 chords that are making you crazy, so you set the metronome, for a nice slow speed and so on. Hey, Scott. Scott is telling us that Ohio officially declared Hang On Sloopy as their state rock song. 1985. It took them that long, huh? 1985. Good for them, though. That's great. Chaz says strumming and chord changes. Yep. But hey, if you have the patience and discipline to work with a metronome, then you can go down a rabbit hole. You can say, okay, it's changing from, I'm just going to say C to F, and maybe do 4 strums of C with 4 clicks and 4 strums of F on 4 clicks, right? But maybe that you have to slow the metronome down to slower than 80. And maybe some other chord change, you can do it at 100. I don't know. I mean, you can get a little pencil and paper and keep track of all this stuff and have different speeds, you know. DAC Poet says, I'm trying to get my left hand to relax more instead of what I call the alligator grip. Yeah, easier said than done, right? Just to the teacher or someone says, oh, you know, play with a relaxed arm or relaxed hand. It's sometimes you need to hear that for a month or two before you can actually tell yourself to relax. But let me tell you, the more you shake out your hand, tell yourself to relax, you can experiment with, I'm going to do a D chord, D as in Delta, with putting your fingers in the right place, but not squeezing. So the 3 treble strings are just going to sound dead. Now I'm going to increase my pressure a little bit, and I'm expecting to get a buzzing, you know, unsatisfying sound. Increasing the pressure a little bit more. Now I'm hoping it's going to be a nice clear, but I'm not going to squeeze any more than that. I mean, you can really, look, if you guys have the patience, I mean, you can spend so much time analyzing the amount of pressure, trying to identify the minimum amount of pressure. By the way, the reason I'm talking about the amount of pressure is chances are the less pressure, the lower the pressure from your fingertips, the more relaxed your fingers and wrist and arm and hand are going to be, you know. I definitely expect if you're touching the strings, applying virtually no pressure, getting that sound, you probably have a relatively relaxed body, hand, arm, fingers, and everything. Plenty to think about. Plenty to think about. Never gets old. Never gets old. Charlie Beagle is asking, does anybody use one of those wireless setups with an electric guitar? Any thoughts about it? What is my take on it? I don't use one. My understanding is that they've come a long way over the years, and that what's available now for a relatively low price is much more reliable and, you know, worth your money than a decade or two ago. But no, I don't know. I know our other moderator, Beginner Guitar Lessons, uses a wireless setup, and he's recommended one before. And if he pops into the chat, I'm sure he'll let us know again. But he's used, I know he uses a wireless setup. When in doubt, call over to Sweetwater, man. Get your Sweetwater rep. Ask them what they recommend. Tell them what your budget is. I mean, it's a fun idea, right? Going wireless, it's a fun idea. But I've never used it, you know. Just don't know. Just don't know. Hey, we got to talk about sonification, you guys. It's the most excited I've been about something that's not particularly musical. No, actually, it is musical. What I'm talking about. I got excited about this when I found out it was musical. Sonification. Who knows what sonification means? SONIFICATION. Sonification. Ooh, in the description of this live stream, I'm going to put a bunch of links that have to do with this concept we're about to talk about now, the Wikipedia definition of sonification, and news from the brand new Vera C. Rubin Observatory in the Chilean Andes. What are we talking about? Holy moly, you guys know about this? Again, the Vera C. Rubin Observatory in the Andes in Chile, the largest digital camera on the planet. It's giving us a new view of the universe. What? So why are we talking about it? And why am I bringing up this word sonification? Yeah, Martian Murray, to make something into sound, right? Sonification. So in the little, I'm not going to say I did a deep dive. I did a medium dive into this topic. And the first example that came up was a Geiger counter, right? A Geiger counter. Anyone remember Geiger counters, right? Makes that ticking sound as the level of radiation increases around you, right? The more ticking you hear from the Geiger counter, the less safe your environment, right? Okay, so it's essentially taking radiation and turning it into sound so we can do something with that sound. We can react to it, right? So you can turn things into sound. Or another way to put it is you can use sound to reflect information, can reflect data, right? So I encourage you to click on the link after the live stream and check out what they're posting on the website of this observatory in Chile. Imagine you open up this photograph of the sky, the best view of the universe ever, right? And what you're seeing is stars and stuff, right? And every little twinkly star is assigned a nice little bell tone. So when you zoom out and you see a bazillion stars, you hear all this twinkling kind of music. As you zoom in, so you see fewer and fewer stars, the sounds pare down to fewer and fewer little twinkly bells. Sonification, right? Using this musical kind of almost like a wind chime kind of sound to reflect what you're seeing on the screen. Oh, it's so cool. You got to check it out. So the web, just a spoiler alert, so you don't have to wait for me to put it in the chat. Sky Viewer, all one word, skyviewer.app, app, skyviewer.app. The sonification of the universe. Whoa, dude. So beautiful, so super beautiful. Anybody listen to Science Friday on National Public Radio? Today's Saturday, so you can imagine I heard this yesterday, and I thought, oh, I gotta share it with you guys. Sonification. So there you go. Those of you who are into astronomy, those of you who are into music, very, very interesting. Sonification. And the Wikipedia definition of sonification gave other examples, which are escaping me right now, but turning data into sound to help us receive the data in a new way, in a way that we might not have received it otherwise, Very, very cool. Static Zigzag is pointing out that Brian May, the famous guitar player from Queen, is an astrophysicist, right? Yeah, interesting guy, to say the least, right? To say the least. Joseph Galasso is sharing the definition with us. Another definition of sonification, or a good definition of sonification: non-speech audio, like music, to convey information or to perceptualize data. Yeah. Yep. Charlie Beagle is pointing out, Charlie Beagle asks, aren't we transmitting things out into space to see if anyone hears them? We are, including Johnny B. Good. Johnny B. Good is one of many musical pieces that NASA has shot out there into outer space. And see who wants to dance out there. I envy the aliens hearing Johnny B. Good. Oh man, that's going to be a good day whenever it is received. Yeah. Yep. Good times. Okay, I'm just looking in the chat to see what you guys are talking about. You guys seem like you're having fun. Checking with our poll results. The poll question is, no, we don't want that. Okay. Do you know 3 or more strum patterns? 36% of you say, yeah, you know a lot of strum patterns. You got it. 12% say, yeah, but really that might be about your limit. 33% are like, maybe. That's good. I'm glad you're telling us that. In fact, I like this breakdown. And the fourth response is, I'm just here for the free food. And 18% of you went for that one. And that's, you know what, that tracks. That sounds great. Yeah, just here for the free food. Hey, Watcher Dan, thanks for checking in. Watcher Dan says, thanks for your lessons, and you are welcome. Speaking of which, let's do another one. A lesson you'll never forget. Ooh, here's a lesson you never forget. The hardest simple exercise. I thought that was a kind of a nice clickbait kind of title. Here comes the hardest simple exercise. Did I make this up? No, I got it out of a book, but I'm the one who called it the hardest simple exercise, and I have a boring name for it as well. Here comes the boring name. Again, if your screen goes black, Don't fret. Get it? All right. Pick skips. Pick skips. I'm going to play the first measure, because if you can play and understand the first measure, you will begin to benefit from this very quickly. So the first measure, in fact, the whole first line is just a repetitive pattern. Before I forget, your picking hand is going to employ down, up, down, up, down, up picking. So check it out. The very first thing, one way to describe it is an F power chord. Index, first fret on the fat E string with a downstroke. Ring finger, third fret on the A string, that's the fifth string, with an upstroke. You got 1, 3, down, up. The two notes of an F power chord. You do not have to hold them down at the same time. In fact, I'm going to maybe even discourage you from holding them down at the same time, because the goal here is to be very fluid as you make your way through this. So don't worry about holding them both down at the same time. And certainly if you find it a difficult stretch to hold the 1 and the 3 down at the same time, then definitely don't do it. But please use your index and your ring, because what happens next is your middle finger. Second finger, second fret on the 6th string with a downstroke. And here's the kicker, pinky 4 on the A string, 4th fret, with an upstroke. 2, 4, it has to be middle and pinky. It has to be, because the idea is we're giving all 4 of your fingers a nice little workout. If it sounds kind of creepy and vaguely jazzy, yeah, sadly, this is not going to be a big hit in your household. People hearing you play this over and over again are not going to request more. You're going to find out who your friends are. Okay, so if you can play that first measure, 1, 3, 2, 4, you just repeat that pattern beginning on the A string, 1st fret, the 5th string. There we go. Now, you got to do down ups with your pick. You should go a lot steadier than I just went. Nice and steady. You should memorize this. You'll play better if you have it memorized. Pretty easy to memorize. I'm going to pause for a second. The fact that your brain has to sort this out for a minute, maybe it might take you longer for a minute to sort out this pattern. That's why we're doing this. This is not just about your ring finger. This is not just about down up picking. This is about kind of provoking your brain a little bit to sort this out like it's a puzzle. A little knot in your shoelace you have to kind of untie. Pretty quickly, I think you guys are going to just think of this as like just a cute little pattern, and your brain is going to get it. You know, this is not, you know, it's simple, right? But it's hard because of what we're asking your fretting hands to do. It's a hard, simple exercise. Now, the fun never stops. When you end the first line with your pinky on 4 on the skinny string, I'm talking about the end of line 1. Now the fun begins. We're going to shift your fretting hand up 1 fret and do the pattern in reverse. Why do we shift it up 1 fret? Because the premise here is that you're going to do this pattern, ascending and descending, and crawl up the neck of the guitar until you just run out of room or someone throws a shoe at your head. You know, 5, 3, 4, 2, 5, 3, 4, 2, 5, 3, 4, 2. And again, you got to divide up the work. In the case of line 2, 5 is going to be your pinky. 3 on the 2nd string, middle finger. 4 on the 1st string, ring. 2 on the 2nd string, index. Okay, 5, 3, 4, 2. And personally, I would stay on that first measure of line 2 and do it a bunch of times. The more comfortable you are with the first part of line 2, the first 4 notes of line 2, the easier the rest of the line is going to be, because it's just a pattern, right? Just a pattern. Okay. And then line 3, it just shifts up. It's line 3 is the same as line 1, just starting on the 3rd fret. But it still goes, line 3 still goes index, ring, middle, pinky, same deal. So depending how you look at it, this is either kind of easy or like, what a pain in the butt, Hey, Scott is recommending my book. Thanks, Scott. Scott's recommending my book called Easy Guitar, Chord, and Lead Tricks. Here it is. Ooh, you guys, now's a great time to buy it because I have a bunch. Ooh, maybe I'll do a 4th of July sale. I should probably do a 4th of July sale. Maybe I will. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Scott. Thanks for the shout out. I appreciate that. I know I should do like holiday sales, right? I mean, if every mattress company has a mattress sale for, Veterans Day, and every car dealer has a, Labor Day sale, I guess I should do the same thing. All right. So there you go. A lesson you never forget. I feel strongly that you and me and all of us should, we should have a balance. Every practice session should be a balance of stuff like that, the technical stuff, right? And then the stuff that you really love, which brings us to the student quote of the week. One of my students this week said something, and it was more of a reminder of something that we all kind of know, which is you gravitate towards things you like, and that's true on a million levels. When you sit down to practice, you're probably going to practice that thing you like, when you look back at how you spent the last month or year on the guitar, you probably were pursuing things that appeal to you, songs, your favorite songs, and you want to get good at. As it should be. We're doing this for fun. We're doing this for happiness, right? To find joy. Having said that, you got to eat your vegetables, so a little bit of this exercisey kind of stuff is going to help you play all your favorite songs, sometimes indirectly, sometimes directly. Anything, you guys know, I feel strongly that we live or die by our fretting hand fingers. I'm just looking at there's ink, the ink that's on my left hand that I don't even know how it got there. Your success directly relates to your fretting hand. It's not the only thing, but it's such a big thing. So anything that makes your fretting fingers more confident, more limber, stronger, although we're not talking about brute strength exactly, right? But yeah, stronger, more flexible, more confident, smarter, so to speak. So I will always discourage people from just chasing song after song after song. It's exhausting because we all have about 1,000 favorite songs. And if you just chase after song after song after song, you can go a little crazy. Some exercises that test your aim and your confidence with your picking hand, that test your skills, your dexterity with your fretting hand. You got to have part of that as part of your practice session, and you won't regret it. Oh, Joseph, you led me into our next topic. Joseph, and where Joseph says, I like what Bruce Lee says when it comes to learning. Don't think, but feel. And Joseph, you had no idea that you would lead me into our next topic. Someone passed away just recently. Who passed away? Who am I thinking about? Who's that? We all know what TV show that's from. But this composer just passed away at 93 years old. And there's a Bruce Lee connection, so I'll get to that in a minute. Who knows? The composer of not only that, Mission Impossible, but let me check my notes here. This was the gentleman who wrote the theme for Starsky and Hutch, the theme for Mannix, and Bruce Lee asked him to do the music for, was it called Enter the Dragon? I'm not a Bruce Lee expert. I think it was Bruce Lee's final movie, maybe. And this gentleman, who just passed away at 93, was surprised to hear from Bruce Lee because he never met Bruce Lee, didn't know anything. I mean, had no reason to think Bruce Lee would suddenly call him on the phone, and was curious why Bruce Lee would be asking him to score the new Bruce Lee movie. Well, little did he know that Bruce Lee had been cranking up the Mission Impossible theme song as background music during his practice sessions. And the answer is Lalo Schifrin from Argentina. Lalo Schifrin just passed away, the composer of the Mission Impossible theme and a lot of other things too. Bullet, the Steve McQueen movie Bullet, that's also Lalo Schifrin. Just recently, I was telling someone that I saw the new Mission Impossible movie on Father's Day with my family by request, and Tom Cruise has announced it's going to be his last Mission Impossible movie. And I said to anyone who's listening, I said, well, it's not going to be the last Mission Impossible movie because the music is so good. They got to keep making the movies just so they can use that theme song. And so I was sad to hear that Lalo Schifrin, the composer of the theme music for Mission Impossible, just passed away recently at 93 years old. But there you go. Lalo Schifrin. And Bruce Lee was a big fan. And Joseph, you helped me segue into that as if we were on the same page. We're going to get to our virtual play-along song in a minute or two, so don't go anywhere. Performance anxiety. There's one moment, it happens twice a month. There's one moment twice a month when I get stressed out and I think, oh, holy moly, I hope I don't make a mistake. And the scenario might just surprise you, but I think you'll get a kick out of it. What makes me stressed out? During the school year, twice a month, I educate, quote, at a preschool. I teach music to little kids at a preschool twice a month during the school year. And of course, it's extremely important for me to allow them to play my guitar. So I bring my metal body dobro because it's indestructible. And they get to, I go around the semicircle, and before I leave the classroom, they get to strum the guitar a little bit. And it's stressful for me. And here's why it's stressful. I have this illusion that I've done this for a bunch of years. I have this illusion that one kid is going to turn into like this amazing guitar player. And it's all because I let him strum my guitar when he was 4 years old. It hasn't happened yet, but that's because these kids are, they're not that old yet. But it could still happen. Okay, bottom line is I go around the semicircle, I grab a chord because I know the kid is going to strum across the strings, and I stress out because I think, what if I don't grab the chord right? And the kid goes and they get that sound, and it kind of hurts their ear, might even hurt their fingers, and they think, oh, playing the guitar is no good. I don't like this at all. And so I get a little stressed. I change chords as I go from kid to kid. Because, hey, why not? So these kids have no idea. Like, I'm giving one kid A minor. So I'm holding the guitar out like this, right? As I go around, and they strum, but I'm changing to G and D, and I get a little stressed. What if I'm responsible for the kid having this negative, kind of sound? Meanwhile, the kid right before, every kid before them sounded great. Gets to be your turn, and you think it's your fault. I stress about that. I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. So that's my moment of performance anxiety. Now you know. There you go. DAC Poet says, any kid prodigies? My one claim to fame, one of my students has been on stage with John Mellencamp, not once, but 2 times. And if you do a YouTube search for John, if you went on YouTube, John Mellencamp kid singing, John Mellencamp kid on stage, that's my student. Red hair, if he's got red hair, it's definitely my student. And he's been on stage specifically sing, not playing guitar, but specifically sing, not once, but at 2 completely separate shows, 2 different tours, like, I don't know, a year apart or something. The second time, obviously, John Mellencamp recognized him and got him up out of the audience. But anyways, there you go. That's my claim to fame. I was kind of hoping one of you guys would get famous anytime. I mean, no pressure, but now would be a great time. Winger is saying, do you use each kid? Yeah, that would be great, Winger. I see your question. If like little by little, like every kid strummed and it turned into a song, like one kid strums D, and the next kid does A, and the next kid does G, and it turns into, you know, twist and shout or something. Yeah, there's a little too much time in between. RB says, dobro in my language means good. Yeah, love it. Love it. Dobro. The dobro brand, you guys might know this, the Dopira brothers. They were the owners of the company, the guitar makers, and they named their company Dobro, D-O-B-R-O, Dobro. And dobro became one of those words like Q-tip, Band-Aid, where the term is often used for any guitar with a big silver resonator right there. There's lots of other makers around, but you hear lots of people just call them all Dobros. So yeah, there you go. Hey, it's never a bad time to do our virtual guitar play along. So let the demonetizing begin now. Why not? Why not? Our song of the, oh, you guys are not seeing any ads, right? So what I've been doing is keeping things ad-free for you guys watching things live. And I apologize for those of you who are watching this in the future. You most likely will see some ads. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to do this. Okay, our play-along song of the night from our friends CSN, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Southern Cross. Love this song so much. I'm going to put a capo at the second fret, and I'll explain in a minute. If your screen is still black, hang in there, hang in there. It's going to pop up in a second. I hope some of you know this song. If you don't, well, now you do, because check it out, a whole lot of A's, G's, and D's, right? Now, a couple things. The original recording is exactly like this. You do not need a capo. I'm going to put a capo at the second fret to make it easier for me to sing. What I'm going to do, just so you know, is I'm singing the whole song down an octave, but that's a little bit too low. And so the capo is bringing me up just a little bit, you know, a whole step higher. If and when you go to play along with the actual song, do not use a capo. This is just for Jonathan. This is for right now, you know, for this moment in my life. Okay, so the chords there are not the problem. What the problem is, there's so much going on in this tune, right? Okay, but nevertheless, I want to make this as, I want to get down to playing this with you guys. Okay, you need what, a total of 4 chords, A, G, D, and B minor. For once, I'm giving you the green light to play the G chord however you want to play the G chord. 3 fingers, 4 fingers, pinky, no pinky, doesn't matter for this song. It just doesn't matter. Enjoy your freedom for playing G chord however you want to play a G chord. Okay. The intro, I put 2 little slash marks under each chord in the intro just to get you off on the right foot. The way we're going to play the song, each chord lasts for 2 counts. A twice, G twice, D twice, D twice again. Okay. That's going to go for the entire tune. Every chord, everywhere you look, 2 strums on that chord, except, look at verse 2. I put a big box. The D, B minor. D only once, B minor only once. Okay, now you'll hear where that part comes in. That's a very significant moment in the song. So that's the only time in the entire tune when you strum a chord only one time and go right into the next chord and strum that one time. Everything else is 2 strums every time you see an alphabet letter. Okay? All right, so that's why I did not keep writing in those little slash marks underneath every chord. The intro is the heart of the song. So take a good look at that intro. Later on in the tune, that intro comes back. I keep calling it the intro, even though I know the intro means the beginning of the song. It's just super convenient for me to say, hey, guess what? Whatever you did the intro, what we did at the intro, you're going to do it again several times throughout the tune. For instance, during the guitar solo, guess what's going on in the background? The intro chord progression. So I'm aware You know, the music police, I'm aware intro literally means the beginning of the tune. I know. But for convenience, I'm referring to it as the intro as it pops up. Like, for instance, this song ends on the intro chords, you know. You get what I'm saying? It's convenient for me to communicate this way. Okay. Here's what you absolutely need to know if you're going to make it through this in one piece. Look at verse 2. The second line of verse 2 with that big black asterisk. That's extremely significant. That sequence that starts with that asterisk and then goes A, G, D, D, A, G, the D minor, D, B minor with the box. Okay. Later in the tune, where I write V2 with that star, that asterisk, you do just that line. Okay. Just that line. That's what that's there for. PC stands for pre-chorus. CH stands for chorus. If you look at the bottom of the page, I stopped writing out all the chord changes because by the time you get to the bottom of the page, you've done everything. You've seen every combination. All you need to know is the order. You know, verse 2, chorus, intro, whatever. All you need to know is the order. Okay. Another thing that's super significant, repeating stuff. See the pre-chorus? See those thick black lines with 2 dots? The pre-chorus, G, D, G, A, see that right there? That specific thing, and that's bracketed, that happens 3 times. Some of you are going to do it once or twice, but not 3 times. You got to do it 3 times. That's a part of the song that says, think about how many times I have fallen. That's the pre-chorus, okay? Think about how many times spirits are using me. Larger voices calling. Okay, that's the pre-chorus. So you got to do that 3 times and then go on to those A's at the end of the pre-chorus. That's that build-up. Cannot be forgotten. It's on those A's. I have been around. There's the chorus. The world. Okay, so the chorus is the around the world looking for that woman. That's the chorus of the song. That happens 3 times. One of you is going to only play it once. Someone's only going to play it twice. You got to play it 3 times. Coming out of the chorus, it's the intro chord changes again. I worry way more about you guys keeping track of where you are because that's the stressful part, right? I have no doubt that 90-something% of you are pretty comfortable with A, G, and D. Little worried about you guys nailing the D, B minor part. Because it goes by just like that. So just so you know, that D, B part, like bar in Avalon, I tried to call you. I'm at the end of verse 2, just to give you an example. But on a midnight watch, I realized why twice you ran away. So there's an example. Twice you ran away. That's an example of the melodic and lyrical thing that's happening on that D, B minor. Those of you who know the tune a little bit, you might recognize that that part. Okay. Now, no one wishes more than I wish that this tune was so predictable and so, you know, that I could write the whole tune down on half a piece of paper. Believe me, I wish so badly. But when I pick a tune like this and diagram it out and commit to it, like, okay, this is going to be our play along song tonight, I weigh lots of things in my mind, and I don't want to underestimate you guys ever. So if the only problem that you personally have with this song is just knowing where to jump around, what to do, that's okay. That's all right. That is a lot to think about. Then again, check it out, you guys. Intro, verse 1, verse 2, pre-chorus, chorus, intro. Okay? What happens next? Look at the bottom of the page. You just repeat verse 2 again. Got it? The whole thing, all of verse 2. Then verse 2 with a star, that's that second line of verse 2. Verse 2 with a star again, you do it again. And then you're back into like what you'd expect. Pre-chorus, chorus. The intro 3 times, 1 time just as a space filler. Then the intro happens 2 more times where there's actually a legitimate guitar solo going on. Nice little lead guitar, very tasteful lead guitar. And then you're pretty much home free. Verse 2 again. And then the intro twice, and that's the tune kind of ends with very mellow kind of thing. Now we're going to play this in a minute, but I get that there's a lot going on here. Then again, dude, it's 3 chords, A, G, and D. You got this. You got this. I'm aware that the strumming of the tune, it often has the strum pattern often has this kind of vibe. That's the A, G, G, D, D, D. I might do that, but what I want to do at first is keep it boring. A twice, G twice, D 4 times. As the song goes on, maybe I'll get more into that. I probably will. But I want to include people. So doing it this way, at least in the beginning, is more inclusive, right? Those of you who want to do some hotshot stuff, knock yourself out. What is unchangeable is the amount of time, the duration. The A chord happens for 2 clicks. And after 2 clicks, you're onto the G chord. You can call it 2 beats. What happens during those 2 beats, you can knock yourself out. But after 2 counts, you're onto the G chord and onto the D chord for 4 counts, okay? So, all right. Questions, comments? Remember, the goal is a long-term goal. With practice, can you play along with the original recording? This page is everything you need to play along with the original recording. If you don't play it perfectly tonight, that is okay. All right, I'm going to wet my whistle. We're going to start this in a second. Hey, Mariah. Hi, Mariah. Mariah has joined the chat. Mariah, congratulations again on your great-grandchild. All right, I'm back. I'm sure I'm going to go a little bit slower than the original song because that's how I roll. Okay, you guys good? Again, capo at the 2nd fret. I'm going to say that one more time. Capo at the 2nd fret. That's just for me. That is not what the band does. That's just for me. When you go to play along with the actual recording, you're going to take the capo off. Let's do this. I'll see you on the other side. 2, 3, 4. Got out of town on a boat going to Southern Islands, sailing to reach before a following sea. She was making for the trades on the outside, and the downhill run to Papa on the wind on this heading like the Marquesas. We got 80 feet of a water line, nicely making way. In the noisy bar in Avalon, I tried to call you. On the midnight watch, I realized why twice you ran away. Think about how many times I have fallen. Spirits are using me, larger voices calling. What heaven brought you and me cannot be forgotten. I have been around the world looking for that woman, girl, who knows love can endure, and you know it will. And you know it will. When you see the Southern Cross for the first time, understand now why you came this way. 'Cause the truth you might be running from is so small, but it's as big as the promise of a coming day. So I'm sailing for tomorrow, but dreams are dying. And my love is an anchor tied to you, tied with a silver chain. I have my ship and all the flags are flying. She is all that I have left, and music is her name. Think about how many times I have fallen. Spirits are using me, larger voices calling. What heaven brought you and me cannot be forgotten. I have been around the world looking for that woman, girl, who knows love will endure, and you know it will, and you know it will. Guitar solo. One more intro. Verse 2. So I'm sailing for tomorrow, my dreams are dying. And my love is an anchor tied to you, tied with a silver chain. I have my ship and all her flags are flying. She is all that I have left, and music is her name. Intro at the end, here we go. Last time. Actually, one more intro. Let's end on the D. All right. We're close. We're close. I should have sang the "So We Cheated" lyric. It's a great verse. So we cheated and we lied and we tested. So when I said verse 2 at the end, I sang the previous verse. All right. Will you forgive me? Yeah. So here's a tip. When you have the lyrics, it's not a bad idea to drop in little chord names over some of the lyrics. I was using 2 separate pieces of paper. That's me. No excuses. But how you do? Questions, comments, thoughts? What I'm hoping is that you say to yourself, I could do that. You know, some of you breeze through that. Some of you got that idea. Some of you are like, dang, I got to work on my B minor chord. I got to get that B minor, you know. If I had to predict one chord as being problematic, it's not just the B minor, but the fact that you have to grab it quickly and then get away from it quickly. B minor is what I call inconvenient. It's not that the chord itself is particularly hard. It doesn't pair well with anything. You just have to do what I call a leap of faith. Jump from the D onto the B minor and then jump away to the A. There were times when I didn't do exactly what it said on the paper. That's why you use this as a starting point and then make it your goal to play along with the actual song, you know, with no capo. All right. Randy says, that was fun. I messed up a lot. I got enough to enjoy it. You know what? That's same with me. Although, you know what? I was using this moment. I was using you guys, this opportunity because my buddy Clay and I talked about doing this song, and the mistakes I made, I won't make those mistakes again. Now I know the song pretty well. And so next time he and I perform, next time he and I jam together, I'll bring this exact piece of paper. I'll make him a photocopy and I'll bring this, and I got my lyrics. So now that I've done it with you guys, now I'm ready to do it with him. Sometimes I could first see the opposite happening. A song that he and I are working on, I think to myself, oh, I could do with my my song bikers, you know. Okay, we're in the ballpark. I played a lot of the right chords. I sang a lot of the right words. You can put that on my tombstone. Okay, so you guys good? I'm going to stop sharing that. That's another document. Pretty much anything that I put on the screen during our live stream will very soon be on my website if it's not already there. This one's not already there, but that's how you get to, that's how you access it, you know. All right, I'm going to pause. Look at what you guys are chatting about. Look at my agenda here. I'm going to check off what we just did. Rock Lobster, thank you for letting me know that you got your sweatshirt. Rock Lobster was the recipient of the Lyman Orchards sweatshirt. It was supposed to be a hoodie, and so I ordered you a hoodie because that's what I promised, because who doesn't like a good hoodie? And Lyman Orchards reached out to me and they said they're out of hoodies until September. Would it be okay to send a crew neck sweatshirt? And I thought, yeah, why not? So that's why you got what you got, Rock Lobster. Hope that was okay. Hopefully everyone who was told they won a prize has received your prize, but I'm still waiting on the pizza t-shirt from my buddies at the pizza place next door. And again, as soon as they get new t-shirts in, I will send the t-shirt recipient his t-shirt. Should I sell out a little segment I like to share with you guys? I'll keep it quick. Nope. What was I offered? Hair extensions. They like what I do here on YouTube, and they were wondering if I might like to sell you guys some hair extensions. Those of you who are currently shopping for hair extensions and you're disappointed because you would be curious, I'm sorry to let you down. That was the only thing I was offered this week to sell to you guys was hair extensions. I only have a passing knowledge as to what hair extensions are. I know what the two words mean. I know, but I don't really know. I think if I saw it, I would know what it is. I'd say, oh, that's a hair extension. If I saw it like in a package, if I saw it on a human being, I would just think that person has long hair. I got a dumb question. Boy, do I. This is a question that I've been asked. Either I've been asked or people have said it as if it's true. And I thought, oh, that's not. Here's a dumb question. I ask a dumb question once a week. My wife would say it's more than once a week. Pause for laughter. Hold, wait, and okay. Here's my dumb question of the week. When you put your guitar in and out of your case, is that what makes it go out of tune? Unless you have a violent relationship with your case. Nah. Many students have come to their lesson, and as they're taking their guitar out of the case, or maybe I'm tuning up the guitar for them or something, they say, oh yeah, I think the fabric of the case or something in the case made it go out of tune. Nah. Or put it this way, if your guitar case is doing something to make your guitar go out of tune, like literally it's brushing against your tuners, your issue is the tuners, not the guitar case. So no, guitar cases don't make tuners go out of tune. Even if the tuner touches the fabric or touches something, nah, it's not quite that simple. We have such high humidity. We just finished a heat wave here in Connecticut. It's far more likely that if your guitar goes out of tune as you travel with it, it's because you're going from a certain temperature and humidity to maybe outside to a car, back to a new temperature and humidity. Things like that are far more likely to make your guitar go out of tune. Old strings, another reason guitars might go out of tune. Heaven forbid your acoustic guitar bridge is starting to lift off. If you can take a piece of paper and you can kind of fit the edge of the paper under the bridge at any point because it's coming a little bit unglued. Yeah, number one, get some glue on there, bring it to a guitar tech, have them glue it back down. Number two, that's why your guitar is going out of tune. There's lots of reasons, but it's not your case. That's my dumb question of the week. Does my guitar case make my guitar go out of tune? Nope. Shouldn't, but I know a lot of gig bags have a nice secure, they're touching the headstock of the guitar, they're touching the tuners, but that's not why it goes out of tune. Okay, check. Hey, I mentioned Instagram a little while ago, don't forget, you can follow me on social media, and why not? Facebook or Instagram. I'm on TikTok too, for that matter. Just do a search for the term SongBike, SONGBIKE. I don't abuse the privilege of social media. Typically, I post about this live stream, little teasers and stuff, and occasionally other stuff. And remember, if I ever have to call an audible at the last minute, that's definitely how I would communicate with you. If I couldn't make it on a Saturday night or just anything, that's how I communicate that. So feel free to give me a follow on Instagram or Facebook. The most influential guitar of all time. Don't go anywhere. Let's pull this up. What am I talking about? How can the guitar itself? Okay, here's why I'm bringing this up. How about this right here? On social media, someone named Robin Hitchcock. Any Robin Hitchcock fans out there? Robin Hitchcock must have been at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. He posted a picture of this. Bear with me. Open link. That's what I'm looking for. And he said that this was a guitar that changed his life. In fact, it was the guitar. And I started thinking about, wow, how many people's lives were changed? Any guesses what I'm talking about here before I share this? Any guesses? Now is the time to put in the chat. Now, it's not just the guitar. It's the person who played this guitar, the context, and the song, specifically the song. Now, this goes back ballpark 70 years. Someone played the guitar I'm talking about and played a sweet guitar solo on a very extremely popular song, and the rest is history. And so here it comes. I will do away with the suspense. I'm calling this the most influential guitar. Look at that. Who and what? What we're talking about here is a, what do we got here? 1946 Gibson ES 300. By the way, anyone know what ES stands for? Gibson has a lot of guitars called ES, and the ES, what it stands for, might just surprise you. Anybody know? Put it in the chat if you know. The 1946 Gibson ES 300, played by Danny Cedrone, that great guitar solo on Rock Around the Clock. So what reminded me of this was Robin Hitchcock posting a picture of the guitar, which is behind a glass, in a glass case in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Man, number one, Rock Around the Clock, pretty influential tune. Got a lot of people hip to that brand new, wild, crazy music called rock and roll. And Danny Cedrone, pictured there with his guitar, plays a killer solo, a dynamite solo. I've worked on that solo. I cannot play that solo, not the way Danny Cedrone plays it. It's a recycled solo. What does that mean? That was not the first time he played that solo on a recording. It wasn't that first time he played that solo on a Bill Haley recording. He just happened to play it on a super famous recording. And so we think of it as the Rock Around the Clock guitar solo. But he did it, I think, a couple years earlier, previously anyways, on a different Bill Haley song that just was not as famous as Rock Around the Clock, because no Bill Haley song is as famous as Rock Around the Clock. So Robin Hitchcock was one of countless guitar players who identifies that song and that guitar solo, for that matter, as that light bulb moment where he knew what his destiny would be. 1946, what does ES stand for? Electric Spanish, an electric Spanish guitar. That's what the ES stands for. The 300 is almost certainly Gibson's designation for certain appointments, the exact pickup, the exact aesthetic stuff, like certain bindings, certain things. That's about as deep as my Gibson knowledge goes. A sweet P90 pickup. You can't really see, in the picture in the lower left, you can see that beautiful trapeze style bridge. So great that it's been preserved, Now, let's just say, among other things, he's a fantastic guitar player. Fantastic solo, obviously, very influential song. Sad note, Mr. Cedrone did not live to see the song's popularity. an accidental death. I wish I were joking. Nope, he died, I believe, 31 years old, and has no idea, and would have no idea that the song and his playing on the song would be so influential for years and years and years and years to come. So I'm going to put a couple links to Danny Cedrone and Rock Around the Clock and stuff. I'll put those links in the description of this live stream. So there you go. The most influential, in my opinion. I was going to say arguably. Don't you hate when people say arguably? Arguably the best movie ever. Well, come on, man. Commit. Is it the best or not? So I'm just going to say that's the most influential guitar of all time right there. Why not? John Cavallo says, should you always keep the guitar in the case between playing? It depends. If it's worth, depending on the value, if it's worth $10,000, always keep it in the case. But the thing about keeping a guitar in the case is you're far less likely to pick it up and play it when it's in the case, So that's a judgment call, man. That's a judgment call. That's a tricky one. So the teacher in me says, no, keep it at, just keep playing the guitar all day long. That's what you should do, But when you're not playing, that's tricky. A little bit of it depends on your household, It depends on where you can put it. I mean, maybe you have a cool hanger on the wall and it's nice and safe up there. The dog is not going to walk by the guitar stand and knock it over. It really depends. But what I hope is that the guitar is easily accessible at all times, and that includes being out of the case. Having said that, I keep almost all my guitars in their cases at all times, for practicality, not for any other reason. But that's changed. There have been times where I have my guitars on the wall at my music shop. It depends. When I first opened my music shop, we did a lot more retail. I tried to do a lot more retail. Well, we did. And but I didn't have lots of retail. So I hung my guitars on the wall so it would look like a real guitar shop. And it was a cool idea, except people would come in and start playing them as if they were for sale. And I'd be in my lesson room looking at my little glass window as some guy's playing my guitar. And I thought, you idiot. Like, what do you think the guy? Of course, the guy's going to walk in and take down a sweet guitar and start playing it. And I was the dummy. So, yeah. Yeah, Charlie Beagle says, the best advice I ever heard was to always have it out on a stand so it's there to be picked up. Yeah. That's the ideal. And if you can do that, that's great. I recommend it. But I can see lots of reasons why someone might decide not to leave it out at all times, because every household is different. How you feel about your guitar, getting a little nick, a little scratch, we're all different about that. If it's a guitar that you would consider that you might sell it someday and you want to keep it in great condition, so maybe you can sell it to upgrade to something fancier. We're all different. Christian says, what kind of acoustic guitar is this? I don't know the year, but this is a Harmony Sovereign guitar that definitely goes back a few years. I wish I could tell you the year. 60s, 50s, 40s. Every once in a while, I remember where there's a serial number. Somewhere on here, there's a serial number. And I'm sure someone could, but I don't know. Anyways, it's a big guitar. It's bigger than a dreadnought. It's not a jumbo. A jumbo would taper in more like a figure 8 right there. This is just a weird big guitar. There's no name for this size. It's like a dreadnought guitar on steroids. It was a gift from a friend. I love it. The Harmony name has been around for a long time. So there are Harmony guitars that were made extremely quickly and they are extremely inexpensive. And then there's good ones like this one. This guitar has been played a lot before I ever owned it. My buddy put a new pickguard. He built a new bridge. He gave it a nice polish known as a French polish, which I'm sure is worn off over the years. By some miracle, it still has the original tuners. How do I know they're original? Partly because they're old, partly because sometimes when people replace the tuners, they can't match up the holes where the original tuners were installed. I'm not talking about the holes where the posts go through. I'm talking about the little tiny screws. And it's extremely common that, or it's possible that replacement tuners get drilled in a slightly different location, and you can see where the holes used to be. Again, I'm talking about the little tiny installation holes. And this guitar shows no evidence of that, and the tuners sure look pretty old. So these, by some miracle, they might be the original tuners, which tuners, they're often the first thing to go. And somehow this guitar still has the same tuners. Yeah. There you go. Check. I'm checking off a bunch of things. Check, check, check. In a minute, we're going to do another lesson you never forget. I think you get a kick out of this one. It's a little more melodic than that weird pick skips thing, that 1 3 2 4 1 3 2 4. So this one your household might actually enjoy hearing you do this one. I want to see if there's anything I'm forgetting here. No. Not too late for you to ask a question, so don't be shy. Okay, here comes another lesson you never forget. The Arpeggio Pick-O-Rama. What the heck kind of name is that? I don't know. I just want to give it some kind of name. Okay, let me close this down. Let me pull this up. Arpeggio Pick-O-Rama. This just might ring a bell when you see the first line. We're going to take an arpeggio that I've showed you previously. Okay, I'm going to make this super duper big. So those of you who are squinting at the screen, watch out, because the screen, these numbers are going to pop out at you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, there we go. Arpeggio Pick-O-Rama. Hope that's not too big. Okay, I don't want to give anybody a heart attack. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, just a tiny bit. There we go. Okay. So yes, this is an exercise. No, it's not a song. It's good for you, man. It's good for you. The top line may be familiar to some of you. It's an arpeggio that I believe we have done on this live stream previously. It would have been a long time ago. By the way, definition of arpeggio. The notes of a chord played individually. When you strum a D chord, that's not an arpeggio. When you play it one note at a time, that's an example of an arpeggio. So here we have a D arpeggio with a pinky, 5th string, 5th fret. Ring finger, 4th string, 4th fret. Index, 2nd fret on the 3rd string. Middle, 3rd fret on the 2nd string. Index, 2nd fret on the 1st string. And lastly, pinky, 5 on the 1st string. What happens next is simply reversing the whole thing. If the first line is a challenge, excellent, excellent, then just stick with that first line. Okay, make sure you use 4 different fingers. You are in, if you do it correctly, you're in what they call second position. Named second position because the index finger is essentially in charge of any 2nd fret notes. By definition, if you're in second position, the middle finger plays any 3rd fret notes on any string, ring finger plays any 4th fret notes, and pinky plays any 5th fret notes. That's what it means to be in a certain position. In this case, to play this arpeggio, you want to be in second position, meaning you start with your pinky, then ring, then index, then middle, then index. Because you are reflecting a major chord, in this case a D major chord, it's an appealing sound, right? So number 1, hopefully no one's going to complain about this kind of sound in your home. Number 2, your ear will tell you right away if you make a mistake, because the major sound, the major chord sound, the major arpeggio sound is such a familiar sound. And this is a good thing. You want your ear to tell you instantly. I mean, we all get frustrated when you make a mistake, but look on the bright side. Imagine if your ear didn't recognize it was a mistake. You could play it over and over again and never play it wrong and never know, right? So it's great that your ear hears those mistakes. That's a good thing. And I know it's frustrating. I get it. Okay. Down, up, picking. If you have the brain space to do what the first line says, but also pluck down, up, down, up, down, up, you will never regret. You'll never regret your ability to do that. Okay. But admittedly, that's not the number one goal of this page. Okay. So what's up with this name, Pick-O-Rama? Okay. The second line is the same group of notes, but we're shaking up the order. See the pattern there? Instead of starting on the first note, we're starting on the second note and returning to the first note. Second note, first note, third note, second note, right? Shaking up an arpeggio, shaking up a major scale, changing the order makes it sound a lot more melodic, pretty, for lack of a better term. I gotta look. I don't have this memorized. Okay, there's a repeat sign at the end of line 2 that sends you back to the beginning of line 2 because the idea is to do it over and over and over again. Again, the down up picking, I'm always going to encourage you guys to do down up picking. That is not the number one reason we're doing this particular page, but if you feel comfortable enough with the exercise that you have a little bit of brain space left and you can do it with down on that 4, up on the 5. I'm talking about line 2 now. Down on the 4, up on the 5. Down on the 2, up on the 4. Then how cool are you? You know, I mean, that's the ultimate thing. Okay, and I'm going to scroll up on the page because since that only took half a piece of paper, heaven forbid I leave any white space. So see what I did? The E major arpeggio Pick-O-Rama, same thing, just 2 frets higher, right? Same pattern. And there's almost no, I'm always going to say, hey, learn this thing and then move it up the neck. Or if it's already high, I'm going to say, hey, learn this thing, then move it down the neck. By the way, up the neck, up means going towards the higher frets, you know, towards the body of the guitar. That's going up the neck. Down the neck means going down towards the tuning knobs. Okay, so there you go. Arpeggio Pick-O-Rama. Let's scroll a little bit. And I'm going to stop sharing in a second here. So again, that's a kind of thing that it is going to be available. Okay. The little button I have to stop sharing a document like that is way too close to the little button that ends this whole live stream. I mean, you should have to type in some major secret password to end a live stream. It shouldn't just be a little cute button right there that's right next to a whole lot of other buttons. It's possible that one of our previous live streams was interrupted because I hit the wrong button. It's possible. Anyways, so that's why sometimes I go to stop sharing a document and I hesitate for just a second. RB says Jolene is a good Pick-O-Rama. Why not Pick-O-Rama? Jolene, hey, that should be a play along song. I'm going to write that down. That should be a play along song sometime. Good old Dolly Parton. This is what I do. I get an idea. Actually, RB has given me this idea. And I'm just wise enough to make a note of it because I will forget. Oh boy, will I forget. Okay, it has been noted. No promises, but possibly in the future, we could do Jolene as our virtual guitar play along. All right, you guys, check. I often talk to you about who's coming through my area here in small town Connecticut, and I wasn't really turned on by the folks performing in the very near future. So we're we'll catch up with who's performing in my neck of the woods, maybe next time. I hate to say that. It's not for lack of a talent. There's a guy this weekend who's does a James Taylor tribute, and that's cool. That's cool. I really like promoting people doing original music, whether they're famous or up and coming or whatever. So we'll have to catch up with who's in town next time. I'm a little disappointed, but hey, maybe that's just me. Did you vote? Did you vote in the poll? Hope you did. Okay, the poll question. Ooh, and you know what? We have a few minutes left. Maybe we can get into some strum patterns. Poll question of the night. Hope you have voted. The poll question is, do you know 3 or more strum patterns? Why did I choose the number 3? I don't know. Because you can do a lot. With the right 3 patterns, you can play about 1 million songs. Do you know 3 or more strum patterns? Ooh, 36% of you say, yep, I know lots of strum patterns. 36% of you say maybe, and I like that because we're going to address that in a minute. 9% say, yeah, but I only know 3, and that's it. And 18%, holding fast at 18%, chose the answer, I'm just here for the free food. I think I'm so funny. Hey, some super chats have been coming in. Chaz and Randy, thank you so much for your super chat. Super chats are one way you can support this live stream. I had to toss a couple of my Sharpies just recently. So any and all contributions will help replenish the Black Sharpie Fund. When you see a document like this, that's the Sharpie Fund right there in action. And then when you see, or if you saw, like my lyrics to Southern Cross, that's the Printer Ink Fund. So I appreciate your super chats. If anyone else is interested, the super chat is that $ looking symbol way down below at the bottom of the screen. That's how you can make a contribution to this live stream. Hey, by the way, I have a little trivia. Okay, in my research about Danny Cedrone playing guitar on Rock Around the Clock, he was paid $21. $21 for his guitar playing on Rock Around the Clock. What would that be in today's money? $250. Is that a lot of money today? You tell me. If you were hired to play someone's song and you went in the recording studio, you banged out, you did a great job, and they gave you $250, would you be pretty happy with that? What do you think? That's what he got paid, the equivalent of $250. Very interesting. Wingo is saying that the Southern Cross song is the chords are extremely serious to I Can't Get Enough of Your Love. Is that right? Who sings that one, Wingo? I feel like I should know that. I can't get enough. Is that like Bad Company or someone like that, maybe? Wingo, let us know. Thank you once more, Randy and Chaz, for your super chats. Okay. So funny. My supplies. I don't need tons of supplies. I do need paper, printer ink, and a variety of pens. Got to have my red pens. I got to have my black pens, and then the black Sharpies, the real satisfying ones. It's a vicious cycle because when you use like thick black ink, when you write a document like this, when I copy it in the printer, that uses a lot of printer ink, it's a vicious cycle. It's vicious. Rock Lobster says, yes, it is. Wingo, yeah, it is Bad Company. I can't get enough of your love. Can't get it. I know the tune. I know enough I say that part of it. Yeah. All right. So $21, you guys. What do you think? $250? I mean, hey, for just a little bit of your time on an afternoon to go play on someone's record, $250. But then what if the song goes on to be like an insanely famous, cultural moment? I remember my dad told me one time, the summer when Rock Around the Clock, guys might know this, you might not because you're normal. If you're a weirdo, you might know that Rock Around the Clock was the B-side of a single, was not a hit song at first, but it was used in the movie called Blackboard Jungle. And when that movie came out, that's when Rock Around the Clock became a big deal, they re-released it on the A side. My dad said that summer when it became a big hit, he said you just hear it everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. And he said it was just, from his point of view, it was just the craziest thing he'd ever heard. Just that the beat and everything about it was just, oh, you know, is too much. Hey, Scott, thank you for your super chat as well. Little bit of cultural history, and you got paid $250. I mean, hey, you got paid, right? But that was it. That was it. Okay, I'm looking back at this stuff. Anybody shopping at Sweetwater, in the description of this video is a Sweetwater affiliate link. You click on that link, and it takes you to Sweetwater. Whatever you buy, Sweetwater will send a little tiny bit of their profits to support this live stream. For those of you who have been using that link, thank you. I get little reports. I don't know who spent the money, and they make it a little bit tricky to find out exactly what you spent the money on, although there's a way to do it. I don't know why they don't make it really obvious, but I know some of you have been using the affiliate link when you shop at Sweetwater, and I thank you. Okay, so I'm checking off some things. Hey, somebody asked me a question, because I'm done. My list is good. My list is checked off. Somebody asked me a question. I'm looking in the chat. We got a couple minutes left here. Why not? This live stream has covered everything from Bruce Lee to Bill Haley in the Comets, hair extensions, sweatshirts, Sonification. We cover some ground here, my friends. We cover some ground. This is not just, you know, pentatonic scales and bending strings. We cover some ground here, you know. Yeah. I'm excited about this this skyviewer.app website. That's right, the whole universe. Ringo's right, we cover the whole universe. The largest digital camera on the planet. Oh, to give you an idea about the way, and I just learned all this stuff. I hope I sound like an authority. I'm not. I'm just pretty good at repeating what I heard yesterday. You guys know that big Sphere performance venue in Las Vegas? They can project huge images, right? That's part of, or maybe that is the whole point of the Sphere. I've never been there. The Sphere could only handle a fraction of a photograph from this extremely huge digital camera that's part of the Vera C. Rubin Observatory in the Andes in Chile. The Sphere could only handle a fraction of this of one of these photographs. I mean, if they want to get the proper resolution, that's how big these photographs are. Oh my God. Federica Bianco is the scientist who I heard interviewed. And if I sound like I know what I'm talking about at all, it's because she and the woman who interviewed her did a good job of explaining it to the rest of us. The camera is about the size of a car, give or take. Scott Beamer says, what about some Delta blues? Oh, Scott, do you guys remember last week, we talked about R.L. Burnside and his version of the tune Someday Baby. Let's do this for a second. Let's do it. Ooh, I can put on the screen. This is one of my current favorite things to show people. Grab a capo. Put a capo, please, on your 3rd fret, behind your 3rd fret. And we'll do a little blues here for you. Hold on. Wait for it. There we go. And it's coming to your screen extremely soon. Don't go anywhere. Okay. In case any of you missed it, I think you'll get a kick out of this. If your screen goes black, never fear. Okay, I'm going to make it a teeny bit smaller. Hope you can still see that. If that's too small, I can always make it bigger. What we're really talking about, you know what, I am going to make it bigger because what we're really talking about is the top line. That's what truly matters, is the top line. Okay. I always have this concern that someone's going to fall out of their chair when I make the screen big like that all of a sudden. Capo on the 3rd fret, 1 finger E power chord. 2, 3, boom, boom, boom. 2, 3. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Very easy blues riff. You can crank up Someday Baby by R.L. Burnside. Put a capo at your 3rd fret and just go to town, man. Just play this along with him over and over and over again. Good times. As a teacher, I elected to make this a riff that repeats over and over again. Realistically, or to be totally accurate, he really just does the first half a whole bunch of times, meaning 0, 3, 0 chord, and there's it again. 0, 3, 0, 0, 3, 0. A little bit later in the tune, he does that, what is written there at the end, the 2, 3, 0. But when it comes down to it, it's just a variation. So what I have written there totally works. And it gives you experience doing both the 0, 3, 0 and the 2, 3, 0. Okay, so that's why I wrote it that way. So yeah, kind of easy, but oh, the song is such a groove. It sounds so great and very easy to play along with. Pretty darn easy to hear this riff, so you don't have to guess like, okay, where. Sometimes, you know, a guitar part might be buried a little bit, and it might be tricky to find out where you fit in, how you fit it in, but not this case. 2. Okay, so there's a little Saturday blues. Randy says, do anyone else's pets enjoy it when you play? My cats enjoy it for some strange reason. Rick says, when my cat was alive, she would stop me from playing. Yeah, I'm sadly, Rick, I'm with you. My I'm gonna stop sharing here. In general, I have not got great feedback from my pets. Yeah, that's how it goes, you know. Christian is letting us know that the school year just ended in Denmark. Wow. Christian, I'm going to cry here for a minute. Christian says, every working person has a right to 6 weeks of vacation. Oh, no, we do not have that. No, we have 2 jobs at a time here in the States. We think that's success, and 3 jobs is even better. That means you're a good person here in the U.S. If you have 4 jobs and no vacations, that means you're a good person. That's American values. So I love hearing about other countries. So, and Christian, I'm not surprised that in many countries, everyone agrees on when the last day of school is. Here in the States, the last day of school can be anywhere from the early in May to very late in June. It's the Wild West. It's crazy. You know, we're all so different. Personally, I think we can all learn a lot from each other. And I wish we did learn more and more from each other. You know, how do other countries do stuff? I don't know. There you go. But I love hearing what's going on in other countries. I love, it gives me hope. Oh, I've said too much. So, hey, you guys, on that note, on that hopeful note, let's go and enjoy the nice weather. I'm looking out my window. I'm loving these evenings where I can walk the dog at 8. I can walk the dog at 8:30, you know. I love it. It's happy times this time of year. You guys, next Friday is the 4th of July here in the United States, also known as Independence Day. So I'm wishing everybody happy 4th of July. I will see you Saturday. Don't do anything dumb with fireworks on the 4th of July. You know, want to start with 10 fingers and end with 10 fingers. So let's say our good nights. Check in the final poll results. Do you know 3 or more strum patterns? Again, 36% say yeah, and lots more. 36% say maybe. 9% say yeah, but only 3 sticking with 18%. I'm going to end the poll. 18% say yes. All they say is, I'm just here for the free food. I love it. How about if next Saturday we address some of those strum patterns and make sure you have 4, 5, 6, 7. Even those of you who know a bunch of strum patterns, maybe I can get you hip to a few different strum patterns that you didn't think of before. I'm going to say a few good nights. Randy, good night. Wingo, RB, DAC, Poet, Christian, Static, Zigzag, Rick, G, Scott, Chaz, True, S, Armor, Wingo. Who else? Rock Lobster. Who else do I see here? Charlie Beagle. Thanks for being here, you guys. John Cavallo, Mariah, if you're still there. William Collier, if you're still there. Music Fan, thank you for being our moderator tonight. Music Fan, I'm up for that leftover Indian food. As you know, I am up for that. Hey, I think we need a cold beverage tonight. I think we might be running low on cold beverages. So how about if I stop and get a cold beverage? Text me if you have a specific thing in mind. Otherwise, you never know what you might get. Okay, Music Fan is the moderator I'm married to. All right, you guys, on that note, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I will see you next Saturday. We'll do this all again. We're going to have some fun. I'm going to put a bunch of things in the description of the live stream right now in the next 5-10 minutes. I'll be time-stamping it for the most part tomorrow morning. But a bunch of things I talked about, I'm going to populate the description with those links and some information in the next 5-10 minutes or so. I'll see you next time. All right, you guys. Have a great week. Happy 4th of July. See you Saturday.